Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a ranking video of every Marvel DC film I own in my collection. Yes, I counted as there are 34 films in this list. A lot of these do not have sequels or anything like that. A lot of them do, whatever. I'm only going based off what I physically own, so hate me or not, let's do this. Starting off with the bottom of the barrel. God, this movie sucked balls. X-Men Orange Wolverine. This is the only film on this list that I fucking hate. Besides Ryan Reynolds, Liev Schreiber, all of these guys on screen are fucking great. But, do I have to explain what that is? This shit. For me, this is easily the worst film of the list. I do not care for it. Speaking of ones I don't care, Hulk 2003. Just bad. I saw it, I've seen it for a couple of times when I was a kid, never went back to it. Next up, this is a disappointment. X-Ray The Last Stand, just a disappointment sequel overall. And I'll say this now, besides my bottom two, this is a film, and these are films I actually don't mind, but this is just a disappointment. Speaking of which, For the Dark World. Probably the most forgettable MCU film, top 3 max. If you ask me now what the 3 most forgettable films are, this, Marvels, and Quantumania. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I think we're all in the MCU phase. Yeah, we got a couple of MCU films. Guardians 2, a film that I've grown to like, but it's not as good as people say it is. People love it now. I'm just like, it's okay. Next up, this is even shot. The Avengers. I know, having this in my bottom, 5? 6. This is a film that has literally gone down my ranking more times I've seen it. I've seen it maybe 3 times in my life. Here we go. Next up, Iron Man 3, a film that I actually do not mind and would say is probably the most fun Iron Man movie. But it's not as much as fun as Iron Man 2, which I do slightly prefer. Sorry for that, I just had someone at my door. Next up, Ant-Man the Wasp. Fun action movie. Not as good as the first Ant-Man, we'll get to that one soon, but I enjoyed that. Next up, The First Avenger. Same story as Ant-Man the Wasp, I enjoy it slightly more, but I like the World War scene, but not as much. Next up, X-Men First Class. I know some people love this. This is a film that actually is just quite okay to me. People love it. I'm not the fanatic of it. Sorry, I do prefer Apocalypse. Next up, Captain Marvel. I know people hate this movie. Some people say this is the worst MCU film. I actually think this is better than the Marvels. Next up, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. A film that has actually taken me quite a few times to watch and actually appreciate. Watch The Ultimate Cup. The Ultimate Cup. You'll be thanking me later. Oh, this is gonna be some hate. If my mate Kidiyama's watching this, he's gonna fucking hate me. The Dark Knight Rises. I do think this is easily the weakest of the Dark Knight trilogy. Obviously, it's Dead Lost and you haven't seen the other two, but I really get a kick out of that movie. I enjoy it. Next up, 4. These next 4, I will say, are pretty much tied. You can say for these next 4 are tied, but this one I do think is here. Next up, Deadpool 2. My least favorite of the Deadpool trilogy, but I still have a good fun. And also, is this the one with the PG cut? Yeah, this has the PG cut, which is shit. Funny, but not as good. Next up, Thor Ragnarok. Kick-ass action movie. My favorite Thor film, one of my favorite MCU films. Next up, Spider-Man No Way Home. This has actually dropped in my ranking. This used to be my top 10. It's now slowly going down. This is a film that I enjoy, but there's ones I prefer slightly more. Let me go with these next ones together. Next up, Batman Begins. Good Batman movie, just not the best. Speaking of which, Black Panther. I might get some shit for putting this list low on the ranking, but I enjoy it. Now we get into my actual top 10. Ant-Man. Yes, this is actually my 10th favorite Marvel movie. I love this fucking film. I love this movie. I love it. Next up, oh, this is going to be a controversial take. Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know, this isn't even in my number 1 spot. I know, I'm smoking crack. Next up, Avengers Age of Ultron. I actually do prefer this over the Avengers. And it's not even close. I'm eating by like a truck. Oh shit. This list is going over the water. My bad. Next up, Captain America Civil War. Good Captain America movie, just not my favorite, obviously. You know what the best one is. Next up, this is definitely gonna fuck everyone over. Everyone's gonna hate me. The Dark Knight. I know, this isn't even at number 1 or top 2. What am I doing? I'm not a movie fan. Look, I enjoy The Dark Knight, but there are more I prefer slightly more. Like Iron Man, I think is slightly better than The Dark Knight. Don't believe me? Fuck it. Next up, Avengers Infinity War. This and Iron Man, I always go back and forth. I always go back and forth between these two films, Iron Man and this. I do prefer Infinity War just slightly. But what I do prefer from both of them is Deadpool. I love Deadpool. I love it. So good. Next up, Man of Steel. My second favorite DC film at the moment. Nothing really negative to say, but next up for Batman. The Penguin show just came out, so I actually went back and watched this when the new Penguin show came out. I haven't seen the show yet, but I enjoyed the movie. You know, it's a movie that I enjoy quite a bit. You can give it that. Next up, Avengers Endgame. Some people's favorite MCU film. For me, it's my third favorite at the moment. It's my third favorite, just behind Guardians of the Galaxy, which I do not have, unfortunately, and one we'll get to in a minute. Next up, X-Men, the one that started all. It's one of my favorite movies, period. I grew up watching it. I grew up watching the show. This is a film that I just adore and love. Next up, Captain America for Winter Soldier, my favorite MCU film. One of my favorite movies. Top 40 all-time list. It's easily my top 3 superhero movies. I fucking adore it. But can't compare it to X2 X-Men United, which is runner-up. I adore this movie. It's one of the few times where I actually would say you had to see this in the big screen, and unfortunately I fucking didn't. Fuck. But even more as I love all these movies except for bottom 2, Logan is still the best movie on this list. Hugh Jackman's best performance as Logan. This is a film that I just fucking adore, and Deadpool Wolverine makes it better. Thanks for watching, everyone. Peace out.